Hey Raptors, it's Ms. Hall here with another video for your seminar class. Now, this week's focus in seminar is going to be on communication, and today's video is going to focus specifically on communicating with your teachers. Now, there are lots of reasons over the course of the year that you'll need to communicate with your teachers. It might be about an assignment that you didn't understand or weren't able to do. It might be because you were absent. It might be about a grade that seems unclear to you, or it might even be about a demerit that you think is unfair. This video is going to go over some really simple techniques that will help you have good communication with your teacher no matter what the reason for that communication. Now, the first and perhaps most important tip that I can give you is that you have to pick the perfect time to talk to your teachers. Timing is everything. You may not know this, but your teachers are very busy. During class, they're busy because they're trying to cover content. After class, they may have other responsibilities. They may be moving to another classroom. During class, and sometimes even right after class, is probably not the best time to try to get your teacher's attention. They have a lot of other things that they're working on. The first thing you need to do is decide if it's something that you have to have that face-to-face discussion about. If it's not, you can just shoot your teacher an email and you can talk about it through email. If it is something you want to talk to them about in person, email is also a good way to make an appointment and ask your teacher, when is it best for me to come back and talk to you about this? Picking the perfect time for your conversation will go a long way to having smooth communication with your teacher, no matter what your reason for needing to talk to them. Email is an awesome way to talk to your teachers, but just like when you talk to them in person, it's important that you communicate with email in a correct way. The first thing you need to do is make sure you have an appropriate structure. Use a subject line. Your teachers get tons of email every day, and having a subject line will help them know who it's from and what it's about. Have some kind of salutation or greeting, dear Mr. or Mrs. So-and-so, or even just hi. It's just a way of being polite and respectful. And then also make sure your email ends with your name. Some of you have the same first initial and last name as other students, and so make sure you include your name so your teacher knows who this email's from. In your email, make sure you're making a polite request. Just like you would be respectful if you were talking to your teacher, you need to be respectful in your email. Make sure that you're asking and making a request. Could I please get a copy of the assignment I missed? Versus making a demand. You never gave me that paper. Make sure you're focused on being polite and respectful in your email in the same way you would if you were having a face-to-face conversation. A lot of times, an email will help you avoid the need for the face-to-face conversation. Another really important tip for when you're talking to your teachers is to be clear and concise. First of all, before you even approach your teacher, be sure you're clear on what it is that you need to discuss. And then when you are talking to your teacher, tell your teacher the whole story. Give them the whole picture so that they'll know best how to help you work through the problem, or they'll know best how to understand what it is that you're confused about. But at the same time, you don't need to tell your teacher unnecessary information. If you're coming to talk to your teacher because you were out of school yesterday and you were sick and you need the homework, that's all you need to say. You don't need to tell your teacher the details of your illness or what bodily fluids ended up where. Completely TMI, okay? So make sure you're limiting what you're telling to the relevant and important information, and you need to tell all of that, but you're not going overboard and telling more than you need to. Also, be sure you're not mumbling or being indecisive. Well, maybe, I'm not sure, because that doesn't make sense, and it gets in the way of what it is that you really want to say and need to say to your teacher. Now, the last and very, very important thing to keep in mind when you're talking to your teachers is that you need to be respectful, okay? Give your teacher appropriate personal space. Now, it could mean that you're standing close enough that they can hear you and not yelling from across the room, because that's disrespectful, but it also means you're not up in their face like in the picture here, because that's also disrespectful. Don't interrupt your teacher. Interrupting class or interrupting your teacher talking to another teacher or talking to a student is not being respectful and is not going to go far towards you having smooth communication after that. When you are talking to your teacher, make sure you're using a calm and civil tone. Yes, you might be really upset about a grade that you don't think is fair, but try to keep your tone calm and civil and use appropriate language, and then listen to your teacher's response. The most respectful thing that you can do is when you ask your teacher a question or when you're questioning them about something, listen to how they respond and don't argue. Your teachers will try their best to make sure you understand, and arguing with them will not help you have smoother communication in the future. All right, now what do you do if you don't feel like you're heard? You've tried to talk to your teacher, but you don't feel like they really heard you and you don't feel like whatever your issue was has been resolved. There are lots of things that you could do. You could try talking to another teacher. Sometimes you just need a go-between to help you understand each other, or talk to your counselor or the administration or your parents. Lots of other adults are willing to help you out and help you and the teacher that you need to talk with. Make sure you're talking about the same thing and you're on the same page. What you should not do is continue to get angry and frustrated and sad and hurt and do things that are disrespectful to that teacher. That means you don't leave them and say, "She won't listen to me. I don't know why she won't listen to me." That's not helpful to you or to the teacher. It's much more helpful to take the mature approach and try talking to somebody else and seeing if you can work it out. All right, there you have it. Some pretty simple tips for ensuring that you have good communication when you need to talk to your teachers, whether it be about a grade, help with a project, or even a demerit that you think is unfair. The best thing to do is to find the right time, usually by emailing your teacher and asking them what that time would be, making sure you're clear and concise when you talk to them, making sure you're very respectful to them both during the conversation and afterward, and seeking help from another adult if you don't feel like your issue gets appropriately resolved. Remember, Raptors, being respectful is key here, and having good communication will go a long way towards making you have a great year here at RTHS.